Beijing and Moscow were set to ramp up their strategic coordination as China's top diplomat heads to Russia for a 4-day visit to talk security. This trip is the latest in a series of high-level visits and phone calls that have taken place between the two sides. His trip was confirmed just hours after he wrapped up what Beijing described as, quote, open, substantive and constructive strategic negotiations with U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Mr. Wang is scheduled to meet his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, with the war in Ukraine and stability in the Asia-Pacific on the agenda. China has offered diplomatic and trade support to Moscow during the war in Ukraine, but stopped short of providing military support. The two countries, however, have carried out joint sea and air patrols in recent months. President Xi Jinping has also made a state visit to Moscow in March, declaring that relations with Russia were entering a new era. Reports are saying that Vladimir Putin will head to Beijing in October for the next Belt to Road Forum. Now, Mr. Putin is not known to travel outside the country since the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant against him on grounds of illegally deporting hundreds of children from Ukraine.
And we have seen an exchange of the trips by the officials of these two countries. Most recently, Li Shangfu, China's defense minister, traveled to Russia as well as to Belarus. We have seen Xi Jinping traveling to Moscow earlier this year. And the understanding is that indeed this visit will be beefing up the bilateral ties, which the countries say are at the highest level ever. Well, certainly when you look at the international agenda and what has been happening and what will be happening, you can see that there has been a very detailed exchange of the delegations and the visits by the officials from both sides. Now, we have seen the meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un taking place at the Vostochny Cosmodrome in Russia's Far East. Now, this meeting is expected to be discussed in the talks between the foreign ministers. So Russia is ready to brief its Chinese partners with regards to what has been discussed. And Moscow has been saying that they are aiming for the creation of the so-called triangle between Moscow, North Korea and China when it comes to trade, for instance. So we've seen also the Chinese foreign minister Wang Yi traveling and meeting with the U.S. officials. We also see the UN General Assembly taking place very, very shortly. And this is where the Russian foreign minister will also be taking part, delivering the speech. So certainly the agenda is very saturated.